Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, and we are here for A Huskies Health. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me, as always, former UConn star running back, mental health advocate, champion of father's rights, and host of the hit podcast, All Black Men Need Therapy, and including me, who's a white person, Chris Bellamy. Chris, so great to see you.
What's up, Cully? So good to see you too, man. Like I said, I enjoy my time with you. I definitely enjoy my time
with you. I look forward to it. I look forward to it every week. And our favorite commenter, Chris D, says, "When I think health, I think Steve Cully." And because he jokes, I call David Benedict Saint Benedict. He said, "Is Saint Benedict's bank account a Huskies Health?" So he's laying it in pretty good. He always fact checks me, and he missed the basketball show today, which you would have loved because he enjoys when Joe D yells at me. He defends me against Joe D. Okay, enough ads, Cully. Where's Maria when you need her? I know. I'm sorry. I cut him down, Chris. I split them up at least. You tell me how to do them better, and I'll do them better. First off, I just want.
Probably, this is the first time I learned that I can see the comments. I've never.
I opened them. Yeah. Okay. If you open them, you can see them.
Okay. Cool.
But you can also show them on stage. Like, this is just tougher.
I see.
I don't always keep them open unless I know people are commenting and they're okay. Joe D, a cranky husky. Yes, Joe D was quite cranky today. I'm
actually going to the game on Saturday.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah. I gotta see if you're around. I'm coming up the week of the 23rd. I was gonna go to the second St. John's game, the 25th. And Christy, you'll appreciate this. we found out Big East Energy Mark Zanato gets press passes to go to the games. So Dave believes that I deserve a press pass. So I am going to contact. I have to contact Bill Peterson, who's the media guy, and I'm going to see if they'll give me a press pass because I say we do
more than deserve a press pass. More than deserve a press pass. I love it.
I don't even know what I do up there.
Cully, you are
show up with a computer. I mean, what do I do? Take notes?
You're full blown media. This is crazy.
Well, yeah. So I am going to try. I'm going to try that.
Are you the modern day Terry Price, man? You remember him?
Oh God, I love Terry Price. Terry Price wrote the nicest article about me my senior year. Awesome. Yes, because we didn't get any press. He wrote the nicest article about me my senior year that I still have. That's awesome. I was very great. He was always good to me, and he always would want to interview me after games. So there were like 4 or 5 games that I would get called out to interview, and it was mostly games that we would lose or nobody else would want to talk. So they'd send me out, and I would give I would give them a little entertainment. But I wanted to ask you, Chris Bellamy is a Husky legend. I'm a Husky legend too, Chris D. An article about Cully in 2003 would make it on page A22 of the current sports section. He's like the other co-hosts. What did you think of the Super Bowl?
I thought
he's bringing up that I was the C Club. The honorary C Club award winner of the year. I can't remember the name of the award. He calls it the Silver Club. They give the Spotlight Award, the Alumni Spotlight Award.
Okay.
I was presented with the Alumni Spotlight Award. So that's what he likes. He likes rubbing it in my face. And yes, Chris D, we can feel the Big East energy. Because he remembers last year when I got in trouble for when Mark was hosting Locked On UConn. I said I was being an asshole, and I said, "Screw Locked On UConn. We're better than them. Locked on my balls." And that did not go over well. My phone rang about a minute later from Phil, and then Mike Burton, because Burton's one of the guys that worked for Bleeding Blue for Good. His vice president, Jared, was part of that podcast. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? We can't do that."
Yeah, I wouldn't advise repeating it. So here we are.
So that's why it's okay. It's over now. Yeah, I remember Jared well. But yeah, your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, so a couple of things for the listeners who don't know. I live in Boston, and I don't have any allegiance to any professional teams. So I don't have a team. I'm not running to the TV to watch anybody play unless it's UConn, right? Like any UConn sport that's on TV, I'll watch and naturally cheer for UConn. So watching Boston sports with Boston people is a different experience.
They're a different breed, man.
Different breed, man. And I would say that this crew that I was with is actually a little more tame than the ones I've been with in the past, but still very deep passion, right? Like deep passion. So anyway, we go to my son's friend's parents' house because they are hosting. They're like the family that love having people over. Yeah. They're like, if there's any reason to celebrate, they're celebrating. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And full spread, everything you can want, like
they did
alcohol, food, like just great people. Anyway, so I'm gonna get to the game, but I think the context is important.
Yes.
So we're watching the game. So what I'll say is this, and then I'll tell you about my thoughts on the game. The best part about the game is I learned that my son is a diehard Pats fan. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. So my son's 5 for the listeners who don't know. So all the kids were upstairs playing, right? It was like 4 or 5 kids, and the older sister was kind of supervising or whatever. And they all came down to get, I don't know, drink or pizza or something. And then Chase, my son, saw the score, and he's like, 19-0, 19-0.
Oh my God!
And
yeah.
he's like, Daddy, what are the Patriots doing? Then he stood in front of me, grabbed my shoulders, and started shaking me like, what is wrong with the
He's
Patriots?
having a breakdown.
And everybody started laughing because Chase, like in public settings, he doesn't really talk that much, like we
That
get
got him.
Oh man, so everybody started laughing. So I guess I'm now a de facto Patriots fan.
You're gonna be buying Drake May jerseys.
Yeah. maybe I'll get me a throwback to Bucky Jones jersey. Maybe I'll start there.
Right. Yes.
But so the game, I think the Patriots defense played to the end. I feel like they played. They played to the end.
I mean, field goal after field goal after field goal.
They needed some help, and I think they would have played better if they got some help early. And that whole left side of that offensive line was just an embarrassment.
They were a mess. Yeah,
it was hard to watch. It's hard to watch because they're young kids, even though they're professional athletes, right? Like young adults, not young kids. Excuse me. They're professional athletes, but it was tough to watch. But Seattle, man. This is my first time watching them all year. I haven't seen them play.
Yeah, no, very few of us have. So yeah, it was.
And I have 3 people on my team that are from Seattle. So, they were elated. One of them was a season ticket holder. They were elated. And it wasn't the most exciting game. No. Walker showed he showed real talent.
Hard.
Yeah, he showed real talent. But you gotta love Chris Collinsworth, man. Like that dude, he's gonna
a little rough.
He's gonna build you up to shoot you down. He's talking about how good he is. He's like, but what I didn't tell you is he can't catch and he can't block. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I got so much feedback about him from his work that game, and
oh man,
I mean, he was very negative. I mean, and Tony Romo, one of those games, it seemed like he was rooting for one of the teams, and Collinsworth, Tirico, I thought was awesome.
Tirico, he's a consummate professional.
He is.
He's just who he is.
And he did the Olympics right after, which I couldn't believe. Collinsworth was basically unfiltered, I would say. I can't imagine like trying to produce him, like, telling him, yeah, maybe you should look at this, maybe you should say that. No, he's not going to say that. He's going to say what he wants to say.
Here's what I wonder, Cully. Here's what I wonder. I don't know if you saw that interview, because you know how, and I don't know the sites or anything like that because I don't gamble, but there was that interview that happened that was like the over-under of how many times he would say Patrick Mahomes' name.
Yes, I saw that. I saw an article about that. Yes.
So the only thing, and I'm not saying there's any validity here, the only thing I'm wondering is if he was trying hard not to say the items that they were betting against, right? Because it was crazy. It was like 4 columns, at least based on the interview I saw. That's what it was. So I was just wondering if he was kind of minding his words and as a result kind of went off script because he was maybe, and I'm not saying for a fact, but maybe a little unnatural. So then like his natural tendencies came out because it wasn't how he is normally. So he's just free flowing more or less without like with a filter, I don't know. I don't know. It just makes you think, that's all.
It does. I saw the same thing because he's a Patrick Mahomes lover. He loves Matthew Stafford. I mean, certain quarterbacks he definitely has really affinity for. But yeah, I agree that he could have. But I was really happy for Walker because I couldn't even believe this when they said it. It's the first time a running back was the Super Bowl MVP since Terrell Davis in 1998.
Dude, so that's interesting on a couple fronts because one, I was just talking about Terrell Davis and how I mimic my running style after his because he was a one cut guy, slasher. You know what I mean? And that's how I ran.
Yes.
Because I couldn't run like Barry Sanders. I couldn't run like Emmitt Smith. Like I wasn't. But Terrell Davis, I'm like, okay. It was Terrell Davis and Eddie George that made me believe that I could be a running back, you know? So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I was shocked to hear it.
But that also speaks to the commoditization of running backs.
They're taken for granted. I can't remember what Saquon's numbers were last year, if he should have gotten it or not, but I know Walker's performance he was just shy of Terrell Davis in rushing yards. He didn't get in the end zone. What's that?
In the Super Bowl game? Like
yeah, he was just shy. But his numbers for the playoffs were outstanding.
Yeah. And I had never seen him. Like I said, I've never seen him run, but he was good.
Well, he was in a tandem with the other guy who got hurt, who tore his ACL. So he really picked up the slack. And what was funny is he is going to be a free agent. So it's going to cost a little bit more to get him. And that is the position
too, right? He's going to be a free agent. Yeah.
That is the position that has lost the most financially, is the running back position. They don't value it as much. They don't get paid nearly what they used to. You know, when we were growing up, like you mentioned, Eddie George, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, those were the guys who were among the highest paid. Now that it's turned into a passing league more, they don't get that, and you know, guys aren't getting 300 plus carries a year. You know, they do running back by committee. So that was I was happy to see that he won that, and the other guy was happy for
also a relatively new phenomenon, the running back by committee. You know, like
it's
in college it's happened. It happens more now than it used to.
Exactly. I mean, it's rare. Like Jeanty, who rushed for over 2,000 yards last 2 years ago, it doesn't happen anymore. But the guy I was most happy for was Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what it would have been like for him, for his journey. I mean, he was the third pick of the draft, went to one of the worst situations in the universe, to the Jets. And and this is why I get angry. Not only, I mean, it's mostly quarterbacks, but it's other positions. They give up on players too fast. He gets 2 years with the Jets. They trade him for pennies on the dollar to Carolina. And he is in a competition with Baker Mayfield. It's funny, they had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Mayfield wins. He's the backup to Mayfield. And Mayfield gets hurt. He plays a few games, doesn't do well, then gets I think that he finished out the year and signed with San Francisco. And the San Francisco GM really liked him, did his homework on him, and thought he would, you know, let's give you a reset. This will be like a redshirt year for you, you know. And Sam Darnold said that he learned more from his year in San Francisco as a backup than he did in the 3 years combined between New York and Carolina. And so San Francisco wanted to keep him. He signs with Minnesota to back up J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, the first round pick, he gets hurt in minicamp, out for the year. They're going into the year with Sam Darnold as a quarterback. He puts up outstanding numbers. He leads them to a 14-3 record. They end up with the bye in the playoffs. He has they didn't have a bye. I can't remember, but he gets judged on his last 2 games. The last 2 games of the season, he didn't play great. And then the playoff game, I can't remember if it was Detroit or the Rams. It was the Rams. He played awful. So the Vikings decide not to re-sign him. And that's how he ended up in Seattle. I just can't imagine what that does to you. And for him to come out like he threw for over 4,000 yards, but he didn't have the same amount of touchdowns, and he only had 25 touchdowns. He led the league in interceptions with like 14 or 15. But for him to go through all that turmoil, and I just can't imagine what that does to you mentally to come out of it, because, the guy always believed in himself, believed in his talent, believed in his abilities, and it paid off for him. And I was so happy for him, because just being to hell and back, I mean, you're with the Jets, you're with the freaking Panthers, and you end up turning things around in Minnesota, and they don't even re-sign you because you had a bad game in the playoffs. They decide to go with J.J. McCarthy. He gets hurt again, which ended up with Minnesota's GM getting fired, because of Sam Darnold's success. And I was happy about that. But mentally, we're talking about an athlete's mental health. Basically, at one point, would you say, does mental toughness stop being healthy and start becoming harmful?
That's a great question. So here's what I say. This is a while ago I talked about this. And it was nothing I had thought about prior to saying it. When I said it, I'm like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. But nonetheless, this is what I say. I say all athletes have some level of a chip on their shoulder.
Yes.
The chip shows up different for everybody. Okay. Like the chip shows up different for everybody. In fact, my wife is the one who told me I had a chip on my shoulder. I didn't know I had a chip on my shoulder. I thought
I would never say that you had a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I didn't. But then she starts calling things out. I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? So here's what I say, right? That chip on your shoulder, let's call that chip on your shoulder mental toughness. All right. Now, or let's say the chip on your shoulder allows for mental toughness. And here's my thoughts on that. That chip serves a purpose until it doesn't. Okay, so that chip serves a purpose. So if you're somebody like who Sam Darnold, everybody counted you out, that chip will get you to where you need to go, because it's like you're fueled by the venom of people thinking that you're a boss or whatever they say, right? So that it gets you there. The challenge, though, is when you overcome that chip, it then becomes a weight. So,
wow, yeah.
So, like, somebody was, and I'm definitely not saying this was his scenario. I'm just saying, because he didn't play great, right, in the Super Bowl. Like, he didn't play great at all.
No, neither one did.
Yeah, neither, exactly. And I mean, I like a gunslinger, though, right? Gunslingers are exciting. It's just unfortunate that they just he couldn't get much going as a gunslinger. But my point is, what could have happened, right? I'm not saying it did at all. I'm not saying it did. But what could have happened is he could have been like, I arrived. Nobody thought I would get here, and I'm here. So now that chip becomes a weight, because now it's like, what's driving you? Nobody thought you would rebound. Nobody thought you would get to the Super Bowl, right? And maybe that was enough. You
Right.
know, maybe. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it was or it wasn't, but for some it was. I didn't think I would be here, but the chip needed to be. Nobody would think I would ever win the Super Bowl. Nobody would ever think I would be the MVP of the Super Bowl, right? That's all semantics. I'm just saying, like, that chip can prevent us from going forward as much as it fuels us if we don't manage it. You know, so the mental toughness of a professional, right? Let's make that distinction of a professional.
Right, exactly. Yes.
You know, the messed up thing is there's a higher bar because they are professional, but the reality is they're still men. You know, like they still have feelings. They still now their talent and their ability supersedes what most humans can do.
Right.
But that's the physical part. You know what I mean? Like the mental part, you don't know how that shows up for everybody. We know it giving his timeline of events. We can see how that can weigh on someone, right? We can see it ending a different way. Put it that way,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
There's more stories of people with that trajectory ending up working at a store somewhere, a grocery store, than in the Super Bowl. You know, so kudos to him for overcoming whatever he needed to overcome to continue to persevere and push through, because that's professionalism and that's mental toughness, because it's easy to count you out. You know,
it is.
we as humans give up when nobody's watching.
We do.
Right? Like we give
do.
up when things get too hard for us. Forget the pressure that we're receiving from everybody to encourage us to quit. You know? So that's I mean, but again, he's a professional. So it's like
yeah.
I'm not surprised, but I am impressed because it still takes a lot of work.
And you're right. I mean, he could have taken that gunslinger mentality into the Super Bowl and just said, I'm happy I'm here. And he could have been erratic and made some throws that were bad decisions and turned the ball over. They were I didn't know this either. They're the first team in Super Bowl history to not have a single turnover in a game. I didn't know that either. I was baffled to hear that.
60 years, and this is the first time?
First time a team did not have a turnover. Yeah.
There was some close calls.
Yeah.
but
no,
no
I know.
Wow.
Chris D had wanted to know, what is your favorite memory, your favorite win as a Husky? I'll give him that.
That is a great question.
I would assume probably the bowl game.
You know what it might have been? The Rutgers game before the bowl game.
First Big E. Okay. Yep.
The one before the bowl, because that was solidified that we were going to a bowl game.
Right. That was the seventh win. Yeah.
Yep. That solidified that we were going to a bowl. As then a member of the Big East Conference finally. So that was that. I mean, the bowl game, yes, definitely the bowl game. But it's like the bowl game wouldn't exist if not for that Rutgers game. Potentially.
Right. That was what got you there.
Yeah. That's probably the biggest one.
How much would you say of an athlete's identity is tied to performance, and what happens, as I've experienced mentally, when that performance dissipates or disappears?
I wouldn't even say performance. I would say an athlete. Here's why, right? You can be on full scholarship and not play it down, right? So you're not performing, but your identity is still that of a Division I athlete, right?
Very true. Yes.
So I would say all of their identity is tied there. Listen, man.
No, I agree.
I tell people all the time. In fact, I'm not going to mention his name, but we had a guy who worked for our company, right? And I met him 3 years ago. He had played for the Raiders for a little bit, bounced around for a little bit, but he I think he was on practice squad for like 2 years or something like that. And big lineman. And I met him, and he found out I played ball or whatever. So we were just talking, football and stuff, like nothing crazy. And I said, man, how you doing? He said, I'm good. I'm happy to be here with you guys. Like, no, but how are
Personally,
you?
yeah.
Yeah, I said something to the effect of, how are you adjusting? That's what I said.
Right.
I said, how are you adjusting? And like, you could see he felt seen. So then once I asked that question, that just opened up a whole can of worms. And then that went into the anxiety he had every day after practice, not knowing if he was going to get cut or something like that. And in fact, he didn't get cut. He resigned. He retired.
Right.
Because he said the anxiety was too much.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah, he said just not knowing if he's gonna have a job. He was like, it was a lot of stress on my girlfriend. He's like, I just couldn't do it anymore, man. He's like, I needed something consistent.
Right.
But then we started talking about the identity piece. Now, if you're lucky, right? If you're lucky as a former athlete, if you're lucky and you do not become a professional athlete, you can find a profession to take those attributes and be successful. You're lucky,
Absolutely.
right? The challenge is and this is what I'm talking about, Cully, with these kids and these NILs and all this transfer portal stuff. What I was going to say is the challenge is some of us fixate so much on the professional component that we don't take the time to look at what our whole life is going to be. Right? Like,
We definitely don't.
Like, Mendoza is a great example of not thinking about professional football. Like, have you seen this dude's LinkedIn? Like,
yeah,
bro, you wouldn't even know he plays football. It's crazy. So I would say the only identity that exists in athletes, not all, by and large, is the identity of an athlete until they find somewhere else to become who they will be forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, until you can find that replacement, I have a
transition.
I have a very close friend who we both played with, that it took him a very long time to find his identity. Like a very long time.
It does. Yes.
And fortunately he found it, and because it's like, football has been, and we're talking about football, so we'll stay on football, but football's been such a big piece of our lives. And on top of that, the commitment that it takes, like the commitment, the physical part, right? And every sport has a physical component, but football is up there with, us in hockey, maybe.
It's different. I mean,
so you got that. So you got, what it does to your physical health, what it does to your mental health, right? And then the identity impacts. And again, that identity impact can happen no matter what you're doing. If you are, like, this is an extreme example, but Joe Paterno, right? Coached all them years. This dude resigned and died like what, 7 months later, 8 months later?
He died, a few months after he resigned.
That was his identity.
It was. It's not like he's gonna sit in a chair for the rest of his life.
It's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And again, obviously he was way older and all of that stuff, but I'm saying that it's not an isolated incident.
No.
Like, there's people who unfortunately aren't here anymore because they can't find themselves after sports. So it's tough, man. It's tough.
It's hugely important.
Yeah. So I would say a lot of your identity, if not all of your identity, is tied up in who your athletic prowess.
So, we talked about, what happened, that stupid article about UConn and, NIL and the transfer portal. And we had a question: how much do you think social media can amplify anxiety, self-doubt, comparison to other athletes that may lead to asking for more money or jumping into the portal because of social, things you may read or see on social media?
Social media is a gift and a curse, right? there's people who Prime has a good documentary on the LSU team about their social media education and everything like that. And
Oh,
they have a
wow.
walk on that team. He's a basketball player, and that dude's NIL is crazy. He doesn't play, but he leverages social media and he leverages him being on the LSU basketball team.
Right.
So for someone
Right.
like him, it's perfect, right?
That's yeah.
Like I think social media is never going away.
No.
First of all, I don't
No.
think it's ever going away, and I equate social media a little bit to like money. You know, there's a saying that says money make bad people worse and good people better. And I feel like the same with social media. You know, like
That's true. Yeah.
it's just like if it's leveraged the right way in the right
Yeah.
hands, it's going to be used for good. If it's
Right.
not, and the reality is, man, the truth is people just have too much time on their hands.
That's my biggest thing. But,
People have too much time on their hands.
people
So
do.
why are you worried about what I got going on? Why does that matter to you?
You got to comment and offer your opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
I told you I was big into the Karen Reed trial in Boston.
Yeah.
Because of my favorite guy, Turtle Boy, the blogger. But I mean, it was just constant. The people either hated or loved her. And there would literally be people all day sitting on social media commenting, posting, commenting, posting, commenting, posting. And I'm just like, that's the most unhealthiest thing in the world. Just go live your life. Like your
But
life is to comment.
we talked about identity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people, right? That is their identity. I had a friend of mine, and her social media personality was so funny. Like she was just so cool on social media, but like the furthest thing from that in real life.
Right.
Like, like wouldn't talk much, would talk, but like not outgoing as they would be. So for some people, social media provides cover.
It does.
It provides cover. It provides you to not have to face reality. Cameron has this line I say a lot, and he says, basically he's saying like why you should never listen to people on social media is he said social media is the only place that somebody can make a comment about you being broke and go off about you having no money and then log off and eat a sugar sandwich. Right? Because
That's exactly what happens. Yep.
it's just like
They can
but
do that.
it's hard to ignore though,
It
regardless
is.
of what that person has, who you think that person is or whatever. It's hard to ignore. So for these kids, man, I just, like I've said from inception, I just hope that there's mechanisms in place to help them deal with that, right? Because media training means a whole lot more than what it did when you and I were in school.
Yeah,
Right.
I completely agree. I mean, I know now if social media was more available when we were in college, I don't know that I wouldn't have gone on there and vented frustrations or said something stupid because I said a lot of stupid things and I may have gone on there and made a few things public. So I can't imagine what they have to go through to train for it to make sure that they do it the right way and use it for positive because it can be used in a positive way to generate revenue.
Yeah,
But
it
it
can be
can
used
also
for
be
good.
toxic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But it's like everything else. Sorry, go ahead.
No. So do you think that sports culture has truly changed around mental health? Or has maybe the language changed while expectations have stayed the same?
I talked about this on one of our episodes too.
Oh,
Here's not in depth, but somebody asked a question similar. Here's what I believe to be true. I feel like as a society, we now have more verbiage.
we do.
right? So we have more buzzwords. We have more ways to identify or describe things. And I don't know overall, my answer overall is I think there's never been a greater awareness on mental health, period. However, I think because of this awareness, people can listen to somebody, even like myself, talk about mental health, pick up a buzzword that I say, and then diagnose someone, right? In lieu of doing the work,
Right.
in lieu of sitting down with somebody, making sure that, you are on pace to where you want to be mentally, physically, right? All of that. Like, so I think there's a greater awareness, and I think that we could play a game in society to make people believe that there's a greater focus, but I don't know that the focus is I don't think it's a holistic focus. I think it's
Oh.
let me identify some things to make you feel like addressing some of these things, but I'm not necessarily doing the work,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, and I'm not saying any professional sport is doing this, but let me provide these resources that I've never provided before, but I'm not ensuring that you leverage them.
And culture is one of the buzzwords I hate because people say it and they don't understand what it means. It drives me up a wall.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but a lot of buzzwords, man, that we can say to as a scapegoat, right? And in lieu of doing the work.
Do you think most colleges or college teams actually provide meaningful mental health resources or just have something there to check a box? Do you think they really care?
I think they have more than they did.
They do. I would agree with that. Yes.
That's beyond that I can't speak to, but I think
Yep.
they have more than they do, more than they did. I believe I believe that no program top to bottom wants their kids to deal with some of these things, but I also don't know if it's enough of a priority to embed it somewhere in the training.
I
You
agree.
know, right? So like
Right.
when you're a freshman, it's mandatory study hall, right? That's not going to change. How much of the mental health practices are mandatory? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
You're
and
right.
and
You
and,
know.
and not mandatory forever, but mandatory to a point where you can get assessed.
Exactly.
So because then this, they can get cute, right? Again, they can use buzzwords as to why they can't do it. But if you can make me wake up and, well, this isn't true anymore, but wake up and do a 6 a.m. run because I got in trouble, then you can make me go to, therapy or
Yeah,
something like that. But
absolutely.
I know study hall is still a real thing that's mandatory. So I don't want to hear that you can't make the mental health component some level of evaluation mandatory as well.
And if you happen to be in charge of a university, what would you, I know you don't know this, but what would you say would be missing from the way colleges support athletes mentally?
You know what? I would so shout out to the New Britain Boys and Girls Club, right? I'm on the board there,
Yes, yes, you are.
and James Jones, who's the CEO of the New Britain Boys and Girls Club, he naturally hit me up. He said because they want to do a podcast, the Boys Club,
Oh, good.
and yeah, and I was like, obviously, whatever you need, let me know, and I wasn't sure, like, I'm like, so do you have a title? Do you? And he was like, well, no, I was just gonna let the kids just
Just come.
essentially do whatever they want, right? And just, I'm like, okay, I kind of like that because this can then become a digital journal for them. because here's the thing about All Black Men Need Therapy, our podcast.
Right.
The beauty of our podcast is it's organic, right? We have every episode, we have a treatment written in terms of what we want to talk about. So often we never get to it because it's things that are living with us currently.
Right.
So what I say is, if there was a curriculum and or workshop that would fuse leveraging social media for good, i.e., financial gains, while having a place to talk about real time challenges, or because what ends up happening is when we talk on that podcast, we could be talking about something unrelated, and then in certain instances it would trigger an emotion. You're like, well, where did that come from? So perfect example, Chief, my co-host, there's 3 of us.
Right.
He never knew he had daddy issues until we got on the podcast. His dad wasn't in his life, but remember I talked about that chip on your shoulder, right? It's like, well, I made it without him. He's an internationally recognized poet. So he's traveled the world talking about this one poem. He like bashes his dad a lot in the poem. But again, that was fuel, right? Like that's the fuel. Like that's what helped him get on those stages. That's what helped. It was fuel. But then when you sit back and rest for a second and you start to talk, he realized that was actually that fuel, that chip now became a weight. And it wasn't until we just started talking about different things, and he recognized that in himself. So I say all of that to say, if I'm running a university and I want to address the mental health component, the first thing I want to do is get these kids talking.
Yes.
Right. And if I can incentivize them to talk through media outlets that can benefit them financially as well, and give them the proper training, and also show them how to leverage their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
Having candid conversations that would potentially uncover something or trigger something that could need more attention.
Yes.
You know, so that I would use that as a way to get them excited to do something, and then while listening with a keen ear, okay, you know, he said this. All right, let me pull him aside afterwards, talk to him about this, and then if it's not something I can't get through to him, let me refer him to for professional help, because I see how this is showing up in his life, right? So, but that's intentional. That's intentionality, right? What I just described is someone whose job would be to help these kids while actively listening for buzzwords, for buzz phrases, for mannerisms, for body language.
They would notice, right?
That okay, there's something deeper behind this laugh. He's laughing right now, but there's something there. Or she's closed off, and she's not closed off because of how she showed up at practice today. There's something going on at home based on how she's responding to these things. So that's all. I would just have intentional efforts around helping these kids talk more.
I think you're right.
Some of the challenges.
This opening up would be huge. So the last one I'll give you, do you think that athletes, college, pro, may be afraid that opening up will affect playing time, NIL money, or in the NFL contracts, or in both their reputation, if they were open about it? And I mean, I don't think as much, because I think of, you know, what Simone Biles went through and how honest she was. And, you know,
but remember, she was honest after the fact.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I'm not, that's by no
You're
ways
right.
a slight. I'm just saying she already went through it.
That's different. You're right.
Open up about it. So there's a quote. I don't remember where I read it, but there's a company and they wanted to train all their employees to make them better, right? And the CFO says, to the CEO, what happens if we train all these people and they leave? And the CEO says, what happens if we don't and they stay?
Yeah.
So think about that. So it's like, if we're not opening up, talking about this, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, men specifically are the kings of suppressing emotion. And
we do.
We won't deal with it until we don't have a choice.
Until it comes to the surface. Yeah.
And when it comes to the surface, it's not going to be because we called it to the surface. All right. It's going to be because something's going on in our lives that we lose it. Right. We lose our emotional control and all these things come up. So what I say to that is, whether you address it or you don't, it's there. Whether you address it or you don't, it's there. So how you handle it is up to you, because it's not going anywhere. And in fact, the longer you ignore it, the potential for how worse it can get or how bad it can get. So what I would say to anybody who suffers from that fear is to find a confidential source, right? Like, I am a huge proponent of therapy, right?
Yes.
And not all therapists are equally yoked, right? So you may have to find one that works for you, and you don't have to stop at the first one. If you sit down with somebody you don't feel comfortable, because that is their job, to make you feel comfortable.
Yes.
And if you do, then you can share. If you don't, find another one. The challenge is, a lot of us, it takes so much for us to even sit down with that therapist. That once it doesn't work, we're like, man, F this. I knew this wasn't going to work. But it's like, no, it just didn't work with that person. You know, there's somebody out there for you. You have to have the courage and be willing to seek to better understand yourself. You know, my executive coach, Toby, he always says it takes two people to see one. So
that's a great line.
It's like, if you're not allowing yourself the space to talk and to listen, how are you going to see yourself? You know?
Yeah. I mean, and that's so true. When you go through it, it's hard enough to go once. And if you have a shit experience, you do want to give up. You do want to just say, oh, I knew this was worthless. And, you know, when you do find the right one, it's illuminating, and it's eye-opening. It's like, wow, like, someone understands me, someone I can talk to, someone I can trust. And it does make a world of difference. So I totally agree with you there. Just lastly, you know, UConn, what were your thoughts on the St. John's game?
Dude, I got a bone to pick, man. How do we lose 2 games and we're ranked 6 now?
Because we're in the Big East. Because the Big East is not counted as a good conference. I said the same thing.
That is ridiculous, man. And it's like, come on. But I mean, listen, man. If there's a battle to be fought, it's going to be UConn and St. John.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's going to be UConn and St. John. I thought it was sloppy, you know, like I thought
so too.
It was they were out of sorts, you know, a little bit, it seemed like. But I also think that, I mean, if history repeats itself, right? The first national championship we lost to St. John, and then we won a national championship. You know,
we did.
So, yeah, man. I think
we didn't get a lot of bench points. We had a lot of turnovers. We struggled against the press, but I think it's all adjustments and things that Coach Hurley can fix.
But dude, we're so deep, man. Like
we are.
I'm not worried about us, man. If once we're clicking, I'm good. That was one game. What were we on, a 17-game winning streak or 14?
We were on a 17 Big East game winning streak. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, that's impressive. Period.
No, I mean, even Joe D predicted, like, he thought we'd lose 4 Big East conference games, and then once he saw the Big East, he changed it to 2. But we have a tough stretch with St. John's, Nova, and Seton Hall back to back to back. So if we can come out of that one, at least 2-1. We'll be in good shape. But a lot of bracketologists still have us as a number 1 seed. But the Big East is so bad. Like we have to win the Big East tournament. I mean, to get that 1 seed.
Yeah, I haven't seen any ACC teams play this year, but I'm assuming the ACC is the top conference right now.
No, you'd be shocked. Like if you look at the rankings,
it's top 5 though, right?
But if you look at the rankings overall, the most top 25 teams, SEC.
Yeah.
It's SEC
has really
the money, man.
It's come alive. It's come alive, man.
Yeah, it has. It's just the money has changed everything.
Sports to go back to the SEC.
Well, yeah. I mean, the litigation that we were talking about with the Alabama player who was drafted, played in the G League, went back to Alabama, was allowed to play, and then finally got the court. He was ruled he was ineligible. And, his argument was, well, I never got to maximize my name, image, and likeness. And I'm like, well, if the judge ruled positive on that, then all of us could go back and say, oh, well, none of us got to.
That is a crazy argument.
That was his argument. Well, that's how someone today, I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth. Someone today was granted a 9th year of college eligibility for football.
The dude who played at USC and transferred to Montana, I saw that. And here's the crazy thing, though, Cully. My man, in 8 years, like I think my man might have a total of like 60 tackles.
It's like the clip of you saying, "This is the year. Whatever you want to do, just go do it."
Yeah,
just file it, sue someone, do whatever you want to do because the NCAA will allow it.
Let it roll, man.
It's just amazing to me. And for even Mendoza, man, if the rules were the rules, he wouldn't have played this year. He would have been ineligible.
Does he have another year or no?
He technically could have gotten another year, a waiver for another year. Yes.
That's crazy. Yes. Yeah, because I saw the hype from Cuban trying to get him to come back, but
they offered him a ton of money. Yeah, they offered him a ton of money.
What would you do, Cully, in his shoes?
I'd go back to college. I don't want to go to fucking pros.
100%.
You kidding me?
100%.
I don't want to go to the pros.
Back in college because he's not gonna have any classes.
If I had to be Van Wilder,
yeah,
I'll go be Van Wilder,
and I'll be the man. Making more money at this university than everybody at this university. Coaching,
I'll have a blast. Yeah, I mean, nothing was more fun than our college experience.
Yeah.
And if we had a chance to extend it, I would have extended. I'd still extend it. So
same. I just was curious. That's what's up.
But great job, great episode, great answers. You killed it last week and killed it this week. We appreciate you. Chris Bellamy, UConn Star, mental health advocate, champion for fathers' rights, and host of the hit podcast, All Black Men Need Therapy. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back for life.